Hello students, today I am going to start with a new chapter, that is photosynthesis in higher plants. So we can define this photosynthesis in simple terms as it is the process by which food is synthesized in green plants by utilization of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. So that is photosynthesis, and this photosynthesis can be defined technically with the help of an equation. So that equation is 6CO2 plus 12 H2O gives rise to C6H12O6 plus 6H2O plus 6O2. So, photosynthesis can be technically defined as oxidoreductive process. So, photosynthesis is an oxidoreductive process during which water gets oxidized into oxidation, and whereas carbon dioxide gets reduced into carbohydrate, that is glucose here. Okay, let's see this process. So photosynthesis is an oxidoreductive process during which water undergoes oxidation into oxygen and carbon dioxide is reduced into carbohydrates in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Okay. Now I will explain this definition. So it is an oxidoreductive process where water is undergoing oxidation. So when water is undergoing oxidation, what is released? Protons, electrons, and oxygen is also released. These protons and electrons are picked up by carbon dioxide, so that carbon dioxide is reduced into carbohydrate, whereas water splits or water undergoes oxidation into oxygen. So oxygen, which is released through the process of photosynthesis, is coming from water but not from carbon dioxide. I just repeat. So water undergoes oxidation due to sunlight. Sunlight is involved in splitting of this water into protons, electrons and oxygen, and these protons and electrons are picked up by carbon dioxide, so that carbon dioxide is reduced into carbohydrate, that is glucose, whereas from this water oxygen is coming. So what can we say? Oxygen, which is released through the process of photosynthesis, is coming from water but not from carbon dioxide. Okay. So now let's study some experiments which show the essentiality of all these raw materials required for the process of photosynthesis. What are the raw materials required for the process of photosynthesis? They are carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. Now let's study the experiments which show the essentiality of all these raw materials which are required for the process of photosynthesis. Okay. First let's start with chlorophyll and sunlight. The experiment which shows the essentiality of chlorophyll and sunlight required for the process of photosynthesis. Okay. So both chlorophyll and sunlight are required for the process of photosynthesis to occur. So here in this experiment, a variegated potted plant with variegated leaves is taken. So this is called variegated leaf experiment. So in this experiment, a potted plant with variegated leaves is selected. So variegated leaves are nothing but leaves which are with yellow colored patches along with green color. Leaves which are with yellow colored patches along with green color are called variegated leaves. So now these are yellow colored patches. So these yellow colored patches are the points where chlorophyll is absent, and remaining part, green colored part of the plant leaves consists of chlorophyll. Right. So after taking this variegated, potted plant with variegated leaves, This one of its leaves, variegated leaves, is covered with a black paper. It is covered with a black paper. After it is covered with black paper, now this potted plant is exposed to sunlight. It is exposed to sunlight for 1 to 2 hours. Sunlight for 1 to 2 hours. After its exposure to sunlight for 1 to 2 hours, now both of these leaves, that is the covered leaf and exposed leaf. This exposed leaf because it is exposed to sunlight. Both of these leaves, covered leaf and exposed leaves, are tested for the presence of starch. So leaves are, what type of leaves? Covered leaf and exposed leaf, are plucked and then they are tested for the presence of starch. Why they are tested for the presence of starch? If starch is present, photosynthesis has occurred. If starch is absent, photosynthesis has not been occurred in these leaves. For the presence or absence of starch. Why we are testing for the presence of starch? Actually, by the process of photosynthesis, the end product which is formed is glucose, and that glucose undergoes polymerization into starch, in the form of which it is stored inside the leaves, and hence we test for the presence of starch inside the leaves. So if starch is present in these leaves, photosynthesis occurred. If starch is absent, photosynthesis has not occurred. So how it is tested? It is tested by dipping these leaves in iodine solution. Because iodine reacts with water, resulting in the formation of blue-black colored appearance. So if blue-black colored appearance is there, photosynthesis occurred. If blue-black colored appearance is not there, photosynthesis has not occurred. Okay, let's see what happened in case of both of these leaves. So when this covered leaf is tested for the presence of starch, so when the covered leaf is tested for the presence of starch, there is no appearance of blue-black color. So blue-black color is absent. Why it is absent? Because this leaf has not been exposed to sunlight. So when there is no sunlight, there is no photosynthesis. So this shows that sunlight is essential for the process of photosynthesis to occur in green plants. Sunlight is essential for the process of photosynthesis in green plants to occur. Right, next coming to exposed leaf. So when this exposed leaf is tested for the presence of starch by dipping it in iodine solution, what happens? Blue-black colored appearance is seen in green colored part of the plant, in green colored part of the leaf, whereas blue-black colored appearance is absent in yellow colored part of the leaf. That means here green colored part is containing anyway chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is essential for the process of photosynthesis to occur. So this is about the experiment, variegated leaf experiment, which explains the essentiality of both chlorophyll and sunlight for the process of photosynthesis to occur. Next, let's start with Moll's half-leaf experiment, which explains the essentiality of carbon dioxide for the process of photosynthesis to occur. Let's start with Moll's half-leaf experiment, which explains the essentiality of carbon dioxide as raw material which is required for the process of photosynthesis. Okay, Moll's half-leaf experiment. Right. So in this experiment, a potted plant is selected, and this potted plant is with leaves, green colored leaves, and one of its leaves is selected. And this leaf is placed inside, the apical part of this leaf is placed inside a test tube, and inside this test tube, cotton plug which is soaked in KOH. So this is cotton plug soaked in KOH, potassium hydroxide. Okay, so this cotton plug which is soaked in KOH is placed inside the test tube, which absorbs all the amount of carbon dioxide, entire carbon dioxide content present inside the test tube. Now this test tube is closed with the help of a plug. So after this test tube is closed with the help of plug, now this plant is exposed to sunlight for 1 to 2 hours. For 1 to 2 hours. So actually, now what is the difference between apical part of this leaf and basal part of this leaf? So this is basal part of this leaf and this is apical part of this leaf, which has been placed inside the test tube. So apical part of the leaf. So this apical part of the leaf has not been exposed to carbon dioxide. In the environment of apical part of the leaf, there is no carbon dioxide. In the environment of this basal part of the leaf, carbon dioxide is present. That means it can absorb atmospheric carbon dioxide. Right. After this setup has been exposed to sunlight for 1 to 2 hours, now this leaf has been removed from this test tube and it has been plucked from this plant, and now it is tested after removal. After its removal and plucking from the plant, it is tested for the presence of starch. How it is tested for the presence of starch? Again, by dipping it in iodine solution. For the presence of starch, by dipping it in iodine solution. Dipping in iodine solution. So when it is dipped in iodine solution, what happens? Iodine reacts with starch, resulting in the appearance of blue-black color. Okay, so what happens in basal part and what happens in apical part of the leaf? Let's see. Let's see what happens in the apical part of the leaf and what happens in the basal part. Okay, so now this is apical part, this is apical part, and this is basal part. So basal part, apical part. In apical part, there is no blue color. There is no blue color. But in basal part, blue colored appearance is seen. So blue colored appearance is seen. But in basal part, there is no blue color. Okay, so why there is no blue color in basal part? Blue colored appearance is present because of the presence of starch. Why starch is present? Because photosynthesis has occurred as this leaf has been, as the basal part of the leaf has been exposed to atmospheric carbon dioxide. Whereas in case of apical part, there is no blue colored appearance. Blue colored appearance is absent after it has been tested for the presence of starch by dipping it in iodine solution. Blue colored appearance is absent. That means starch is absent. Why starch is absent? Because photosynthesis has not occurred as this part of the leaf, apical part of the leaf, has not been exposed to carbon dioxide. So this is clearly showing that carbon dioxide is very essential for the process of photosynthesis to occur in green parts of the plants. Okay, so after dealing with these experiments, in the next video I will be starting with the historical background of photosynthesis. In that historical background, I will be explaining about different experiments performed by different scientists to know the key points of photosynthesis, to identify the key points of photosynthesis.